Okay, imagine this. An arms deal. Seemingly straightforward on the surface, but it might actually signal a huge power shift in, well, a really sensitive part of the world. That's kind of the story bubbling up around Azerbaijan. Reports are flying that they're looking to massively increase their order of these Chinese, Pakistani JF-17 fighter jets.
That's right. A move that could, seriously redraw the military map in the South Caucasus.
We're not talking small numbers either.
No, not at all. The initial reports, they pointed to Azerbaijan ordering 16 of the JF-17 Thunder Block 3 aircraft.
Right, 16.
But now there's increasing chatter, talk suggesting they might actually be eyeing another 24.
24 more.
Exactly. Which would bring the total to potentially 40. 40 of these multi-role fighters. That would be a very significant development for Azerbaijan's Air Force.
Wow. Okay, and this isn't just like random forum speculation, is it?
No, it seems to have more substance. Major international outlets, Defense Arabic, for instance, they're reporting on this.
Okay.
And it's definitely buzzing on social media platforms, like X.
Right. But, and this feels like the crucial point right now.
Absolutely.
Official confirmation directly from Azerbaijan. Still waiting for that.
That's the key takeaway for now. It's still pending. So while the reports are, frankly, fascinating and give us this compelling glimpse into potential strategic shifts, without that official word from Baku, we are still technically in the realm of speculation. Informed speculation, maybe, but still speculation.
Agreed. Informed speculation is a good way to put it. But look, for anyone listening who tracks defense tech or military strategy or just the complex web of international relations, especially in this, let's face it, historically volatile region, this whole situation is packed with potential aha moments, right? Lots to unpack.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit. Let's start at the beginning. What actually kicked off Azerbaijan's interest in the JF-17 in the first place? Where did this start?
Well, the initial agreement, the one for those first 16 JF-17 Thunder Block 3 jets, that was formally agreed back in February 2024.
Okay, February 24.
And then things moved pretty quickly. By October of that same year, Azerbaijan actually confirmed they were integrating these planes into their Air Force structure.
So they weren't just signing papers, they were actively bringing them in. They'd already dipped their toes in the water, so to speak.
Exactly. They committed.
And it wasn't exactly a small dip, was it? I remember reading the initial financial commitment was pretty substantial.
Oh, absolutely. The Defense Post reported that initial contract value at around $1.6 billion US.
1.6 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
That figure alone signaled a very clear intent from Azerbaijan. They were serious about upgrading their aerial capabilities.
So a major investment. What was the strategic thinking behind choosing the JF-17 specifically for that initial modernization push?
Well, the rationale seems to be driven by several factors. Primarily, it's about bringing their Air Force into the modern era. They have, a number of older Soviet-era planes.
The MiGs and Sukhois, right?
Exactly, MiG-29s, Su-25s. But the JF-17, particularly the Block 3, it offers a significant leap forward. We're talking advanced electronics, wider range of weapons it can carry, much more versatility as a multi-role fighter.
So it's not just about replacing the old ones one for one.
Not necessarily, no. It's more about significantly boosting their overall operational effectiveness, strengthening their deterrence, their combat capabilities. Especially, you have to remember the context, the ongoing tensions with Armenia over Nagorno-Karabakh.
Right, that context is crucial.
The 2020 conflict really drove home just how critical air power is in modern warfare. The JF-17 fits into that picture.
Makes sense. Okay, so that brings us back to these current reports. What are the specific details of this potential expansion? You said 24 additional jets.
That's the number being reported, yes. An additional 24 JF-17 Block 3. If this actually happens, Azerbaijan could end up with a total fleet of 40.
40, that's a really significant number. Quite a jump from the initial 16. What are the financial numbers being floated for this potentially much larger deal?
Well, some chatter, particularly on social media like X, has thrown around a total figure of roughly $4.2 billion for the full fleet of 40 jets.
4.2 billion.
Yeah, and here's where it gets interesting. If you just do some quick back-of-the-envelope math,
Okay.
that suggests a noticeable increase in the cost per plane compared to the initial $1.6 billion for 16.
Right. The math doesn't quite line up for just more planes at the same price.
Exactly. Which raises a key question. Are we just talking about more airframes, or does this potentially larger figure, this $4.2 billion, include a much more comprehensive package?
Like what? Training? Maintenance?
Could be. integrated training programs, long-term maintenance and support agreements, and perhaps crucially, a significant stockpile of advanced munitions to go with the jets. It's rarely just the plane itself in these big deals.
Good point. It's the whole ecosystem. So where are these specific reports about the expanded deal coming from? You mentioned Defense Arabic.
Yeah, the primary sources seem to be international defense news outlets like Defense Arabic, and as often happens these days.
It snowballs online.
Pretty much. These reports then tend to gain traction, get wider visibility through social media, especially platforms like X. It's a very modern way news like this spreads and, well, evolves.
Okay. And according to these reports, what's the stated aim behind potentially buying all these extra jets? What's the bigger strategic picture they're painting?
The overarching goal, at least as reported, is to further solidify Azerbaijan's military posture, specifically within the South Caucasus region.
So regional dominance.
It certainly reinforces the idea that they're aiming to establish clear air superiority, or at least a much stronger hand in the air, which, given the regional complexities we talked about, is strategically very significant.
Okay, so we're getting a clearer view of the what and the how many. Let's dig a bit deeper now into why the JF-17 specifically. It's a joint project, isn't it?
That's right. The JF-17 Thunder is the result of a joint development and production effort.
It's between the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, PAT, and China's Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group.
And that partnership is pretty key to understanding its place in the market. Absolutely. And a huge part of its appeal, as you often hear, seems to be its cost effectiveness.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it described as, a more budget-friendly option compared to some of the big Western names.
That's a major selling point. Its cost effectiveness compared to many Western alternatives, think F-16s, Eurofighter Typhoons, is significant. We're talking an estimated unit cost somewhere in the $25 to $30 million range for a JF-17 Block 3.
Okay, 25 to 30 million. Compared to?
Well, a comparable F-16 variant can easily top $60 million, maybe more, depending on the package.
Double the price, essentially.
Roughly, yeah. And that price point can be a deciding factor for nations needing to modernize their air forces, but without the, frankly, massive budgets required for top-tier Western jets.
So Azerbaijan could potentially get more bang for their buck. More modern planes for the same investment compared to other options.
Potentially, yes. It could allow them to field a larger number of capable, modern, multi-role fighters than if they opted for fewer, more expensive Western jets. That significantly impacts operational planning and capability.
Okay, but it can't just be about the price tag, right? It still needs to be a capable aircraft.
Yeah.
What does the JF-17 actually do? What are its capabilities?
Oh, it's definitely positioned as a genuinely multi-role fighter. It's designed to handle a variety of missions, air-to-air combat, obviously, but also ground attack using bombs and missiles, potentially even anti-ship roles.
Versatile.
Yes. And what's particularly interesting for Azerbaijan, given their close ties with Turkey,
Right, you mentioned this earlier.
is its reported compatibility with a wide range of weapons, including advanced Turkish air-to-air missiles, specifically the Gökdoğan, which is a beyond visual range missile, and the Bozdoğan for within visual range combat.
So they could potentially use Turkish missiles on these Chinese-Pakistani jets.
That's the potential synergy, yes. If they integrate these systems, it could significantly enhance the military cooperation and, well, the combined effectiveness of Azerbaijan, Pakistan, and Turkey. It creates this interesting technological link.
That trilateral angle is definitely something to watch. Okay, let's get it more technical. The nuts and bolts. What are some of the key specs that make the JF-17 Block 3 stand out?
Okay, so the Block 3 variant. It's a lightweight single-engine fighter. Dimensions: just under 15 meters long, wingspan around 9.5 meters.
Pretty compact.
Relatively, yes. It's powered by a Russian-designed Klemov RD-93MA turbofan engine. That gives it a top speed of around Mach 1.6, and it can operate up to about 50,000 feet.
Okay. Standard stuff so far. What's the Block 3 difference?
The real advancements are in the technology, the avionics. The big one is the KLJ-7A Active Electronically Scanned Array Radar, the AESA radar.
Right, you mentioned the EAC. What does that actually mean in practice?
Think of it as a major upgrade from older mechanical radars. Instead of a dish physically moving to scan, an ESA uses lots of small electronically controlled modules to steer radar beams very quickly in different directions. It can track many targets at once with much greater accuracy at longer ranges, and it's harder to jam. It drastically improves the pilot's situational awareness, what they can see electronically.
Okay, so better eyes. What else?
It also gets improved avionics overall. A modern heads-up display, or HUD, projecting info onto the canopy glass.
Standard now.
And importantly, a helmet-mounted display system, HMD. That lets the pilot aim weapons just by looking at the target.
Very useful. And weapons. Payload.
It has 8 hardpoints under the wings and fuselage. Can carry up to about 4,000 kilograms of payload.
Which includes
A wide mix, precision-guided bombs, anti-ship missiles, and crucially advanced air-to-air missiles like the Chinese PL-15E. That one's reported to have a range well over 100 miles.
long reach.
Very long reach. Combat radius is around 1,200 kilometers, give or take. And another important point, it's designed to operate from more basic, austere airfields, not just major air bases. That adds operational flexibility.
Okay, so summing that up, the Block 3 isn't just a paint job. It's a serious technological step up, especially in sensing and targeting.
Exactly. It's about enhancing its ability to see and act effectively in modern aerial combat.
Okay, so on paper, sounds like a capable platform, especially for the price.
Sure.
Now, I did come across some, well, let's call them interesting but unconfirmed claims about its performance in actual combat scenarios. What's the story there?
Ah, yes. This is where the narrative gets, let's say, both intriguing and significantly less clear-cut. There were claims originating from Pakistani sources, including reports picked up by outlets like Xinhua, alleging that JF-17s achieved some notable successes back in May 2025. This was during a period of, heightened tensions with India over Kashmir.
And what were these alleged successes?
Specifically, these reports claim the destruction of an Indian S-400 air defense missile system located in the Punjab region. A pretty bold claim.
Wow, taking out an S-400, that'd be huge news.
Yeah.
What was India's official response?
A swift and strong denial. The Indian Defense Ministry, according to reports in India Today, stated pretty unequivocally that these claims were completely wrong.
Okay, so a classic case of claim versus counterclaim.
Precisely. We have directly opposing accounts of the supposed event.
Right, so massive grain of salt required when viewing those claims. Definitely need to approach them with, well, healthy skepticism.
Absolutely essential.
But how might these kinds of unverified reports, even if disputed, still play into Azerbaijan's thinking, their potential interest in buying more JF-17s? Does the perception matter?
That's a really good question. Even without official verification, these kinds of claims, especially if they get amplified in the media and across social platforms, they can still contribute to the perceived effectiveness and the market reputation of the JF-17.
The narrative effect.
Exactly. For a potential buyer like Azerbaijan, seeing reports, even unconfirmed ones, of the jet allegedly succeeding against a sophisticated system like the S-400, well, it might subtly reinforce the perception that it's a capable, maybe even giant-killing platform, regardless of the objective truth.
So it can shape the story around the aircraft?
It can certainly contribute to the overall narrative, but again, and we have to keep stressing this, the lack of independent confirmation is absolutely crucial to remember here.
Understood. It's a fascinating contrast, actually, when you look at India's own efforts with their indigenous fighter, the Tejas. It seems like it's faced more challenges finding buyers abroad, hasn't it?
That is a very astute comparison, yes.
Yeah.
Despite quite significant promotional efforts by New Delhi for the Tejas, which is, a 4.5 generation light combat aircraft with some advanced features of its own, it hasn't yet secured any foreign buyers. The program has faced, considerable delays in production and delivery schedules over the years. And even the Indian Air Force itself is still waiting for the upgraded LCA Mk1A variant to enter service in large numbers.
So the Tejas hasn't had the export success the JF-17 seems to be achieving.
Not yet, no. And this contrast, it really highlights how complex the global arms market is. It's not just about the technical specs on paper. Factors like production maturity, delivery timelines, costs, political relationships, and sustainment support all play huge roles.
It really underscores that just having an advanced jet isn't enough. You need the whole package: production, reliability, marketing, maybe even the right geopolitical wins.
Precisely.
Speaking of geopolitics, this potential large JF-17 deal for Azerbaijan. It seems to fit into a wider pattern, doesn't it? China's growing influence through defense exports, particularly in regions like the South Caucasus.
Absolutely. You can definitely see this potential deal as another indicator of China's expanding role as an arms supplier, particularly in strategically important areas. The JF-17, co-produced with Pakistan, serves as a competitive alternative to hardware from traditional suppliers like Russia or Western nations.
And it's not just Azerbaijan looking at it.
No. The fact that other countries, you mentioned Myanmar and Nigeria as well, have already acquired the JF-17, it demonstrates Beijing's strategy, offering a more affordable yet still reasonably payable option to nations looking to diversify their suppliers or modernize on a tighter budget.
So for Azerbaijan, this deal, if it goes through, could strengthen China's foothold in the region.
It could indeed strengthen China's presence and influence in a region where it's competing for influence not just with Russia, but also with Turkey and various Western powers.
And the Turkish missile angle adds another layer.
Yes, that potential integration of Turkish missiles onto these Chinese-Pakistani jets. It points towards an evolving landscape of defense cooperation, sort of a non-Western bloc emerging, which could have much broader implications for regional power dynamics down the line.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. The initial deal, the reported expansion, the jet's capabilities, the contested claims, the geopolitical backdrop. But let's circle back to the uncertainties. There are still some pretty big question marks hanging over this reported expanded order, aren't there?
Precisely. And the most significant uncertainty, the elephant in the room really, remains the lack of any official confirmation from Baku.
Right. No official word.
We are currently operating based on media reports, social media discussions, and without an official statement from the Azerbaijani government or their military, we have to approach the reliability of these specific expansion reports with significant caution.
What could be some reasons for that lack of official confirmation? Why might Azerbaijan hold back on announcing such a major acquisition?
Oh, several factors could be in play. Simple explanation. Negotiations might still be ongoing. Announcing prematurely could complicate things.
Makes sense.
It's also possible that the initial reports might be, well, exaggerating the actual scope of Azerbaijan's current intentions or commitment. Maybe the number isn't 24, maybe the timeline is different.
Or maybe it's strategic ambiguity.
That's definitely a possibility. Keeping potential adversaries guessing about the true scale and pace of your military modernization can be a deliberate tactic in itself. Don't show your full hand until you have to.
So the bottom line really is we need that official confirmation to truly grasp the implications here.
Exactly. Independent verification, confirmation of the deal's actual scope, the final numbers, the financial terms, that's crucial. As we discussed, that apparent jump in the per-unit cost based on the rumored $4.2 billion figure, that raises questions only official statements can really answer.
And we should also think about why these reports are circulating now.
That's another layer, yes.
Yeah.
We should consider the potential motivations behind the dissemination of these unconfirmed reports. Are they designed to boost Pakistan's profile as an arms exporter? Is there an element of psychological pressure aimed at regional actors, like Armenia? It's complex.
Okay, let's try to bring this all together. Synthesize it. What are the core insights you think our listeners should take away from this deep dive?
Well, the central point is clearly these reports suggesting a potential, and I stress potential, major expansion of Azerbaijan's JF-17 fighter jet order. If, and it's still an if, these reports are accurate, it would represent a really substantial upgrade to Azerbaijan's air power. It would also likely deepen its defense ties with Pakistan and potentially with Turkey through that missile integration piece we talked about.
And it highlights China's role.
And it underscores China's growing significance as a provider of relatively advanced defense technology in a strategically vital region.
Okay. And the crucial caveat, the big asterisk we need to keep in mind.
The critical caveat is the current complete lack of official confirmation from Azerbaijan itself. We have to remain very aware that these are, as of now, unverified reports. And alongside that, the claims about the JF-17's combat performance. Those remain contested and unproven.
Right. So wrapping this up, considering all these complexities, the potential scale, the cost questions, the geopolitics, and especially the unconfirmed nature of it all, here's a final thought for you, the listener. What do you think is the most significant factor driving Azerbaijan's potential and maybe quiet interest in bulking up its JF-17 fleet? And if this deal does materialize, how might it genuinely reshape the security dynamics, the balance of power in the South Caucasus?
Definitely something to ponder.
It absolutely is. This is clearly a developing story, one we'll need to keep a close eye on for any official word or further details that emerge.
Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the biggest shifts in aerospace, geopolitics, and defense innovation.